everybody, and welcome to my major finale weekend edition of Fangirl Video. I'm Jessica Dwyer, and this weekend we had 3 massive finales. I know I'm a little behind on reporting on this, but I felt the need to compare the 3 on the basis of the fact that they all were downers. They were so sad. All of them were sad. One changed the game in a major way for a franchise, completely different from the source material. So now we have no idea where they're going with it. One was a cartoon that has taken a dark and devious turn. Devious might not be the right word, but very much dark. In their second season. And the last one is the first season of a brand new show that is a spin-off of a super popular one. And I'm guessing you probably know what that is. So let's start with that one first, and that is Fear the Walking Dead.
I found the place he spoke of. I think he has given us all he can.
On the next Fear the Walking Dead.
It's not safe for us to stay.
Don't leave me here.
The compound is secure. We're ready to go.
You promised me Christopher.
I need your help.
It's time to go.
Where are we going?
You're at, man!
For more Fear the Walking Dead, go to AMC.com.
This poor series has had so much hate thrown at it over the last 6 episodes of the first season, which is all of them. I'm not really understanding the hate. It's kind of goofy to me to hate on this show because from the beginning, everyone knew that it was not going to be The Walking Dead. It's a completely different area of the country. It's the beginning of the outbreak. I've said this 100 times in defense of this show. Now, granted, it was a slow burn, which I told everyone that was the case. It's the beginning. You're not going to have like a massive zombie outbreak at the beginning. The show focused on the people, which is good. It was a slow burn, as I said. But then after 3 episodes, it ramped. And this finale was really, really well done. And I think it's interesting. And like I said, the human monster aspect with the last episode, where we see the torture of an American soldier by Ruben Blades' character, Salvatore, Mr. Salvador, is very much what I think you're going to get out of the show. I think it's going to be about the human monster element, with the walkers slash zombie secondary and everything. And this finale really kind of brought that home. And much like its parent series, The Walking Dead, no one is ever safe, and no one is guaranteed to get out alive. And as usual with these shows, there has to be a sacrifice of a character, and that happened in this one. But I was laughing at the fact that Ruben Blades is like my favorite character in this show because he just doesn't care. At this point, it seems like he just does not care about anybody else in the world other than his family. And that includes Travis and his group. It's evident. So, the fact that he unleashes 2,000 walkers, you could guarantee that he is the reason the outbreak happened as fast as it did, by releasing a stadium full of zombies to save 2 people. Yeah, that was hilarious to me. I was laughing. You were supposed to be horrified by this, but I'm like, he just released 2,000 zombies, and he's walking just as happy as you please in front of them, which balls of steel. So that was interesting. I loved the whole Strand and his whole cool factor that he's got going on. He's a cold, calculating guy. And the group gets away, sort of, with Travis's idiocy of letting the soldier go that was tortured coming back to bite them in the ass. sort of literally in one way. And Travis finally loses it, and he realizes that it's no longer a place to be a good man in the world, or a completely good man. And he finds that out and a lot of people were wondering why he shot. The soldier shows up, somehow he gets there. Instead of running away, he follows them to met out his revenge on the family, which sort of insane in that respect, kind of unbelievable. But instead of shooting Mr. Salvatore, who actually tortured him, he shoots his daughter. And a lot of people were wondering, why would he bother shooting her? Well, twofold reason. One, she betrayed him and never really liked him and used him the whole time. And two, he knew that would be a way to met revenge more so on him than anything else, if he lost his daughter too, because he's probably pretty sure his wife was dead anyway. So it was kind of a calculated thing, and that scene played out with Travis finally losing it and beating him basically to death. We wind up with Mr. Strand and his house by the sea, and we realize that Abigail is in fact a boat that he owns, a very large yacht. Now, what that is going to be interesting. I'll get to that in a moment. But what we find out is that Liza, Chris's mom and Travis's ex-wife, was in fact bitten. And I was actually waiting and expecting her to have Madison shoot her. But Travis shows up, and after a very tearful goodbye, Travis actually does the deed as far as we can tell, because it was done off screen. But he was the last one holding the gun. And the kids come running out to see her, and it's a very sad scene, and we see Travis fall to his knees, and they had been talking about the fact that if he had to do this, that it would break him, and it may have, and then they pan out to the ocean, and you see the yacht floating there. Now, as I said, we lost a character in Liza, and I feel like a lot of people are not going to give this show a shot for the second season, but in fact they really, really should, for a couple of reasons. I was talking to someone about what apparently was said, and I'm guessing this guy's not going to be allowed back on The Talking Dead, but one of the showrunners for this show was talking about a lot of stuff for the second season on The Talking Dead, and that included the fact that Madison has a southern accent, and there might be a connection to Atlanta, and so yeah, there's that aspect of it where we might find out that she's related to some Walking Dead characters. My response to that is, I want to know who Baby Daddy is, because you never really hear about him in the show, and if he's still in Atlanta, and if Baby Daddy might be somebody with the last name of Dixon, first name of Merle, since Madison seems to be very tough and has a somewhat mysterious past, and Chris is an addict, and Addison might have been into the drugs at one point. That would be great. Rooker flashback. The other thing that I think is going to be awesome with this next season, and it lends itself to something really cool like this and a lot of neat things happening, is the fact that it's going to be taking place on the water. Now, a lot of people probably had that same idea because, you know, like I said, this is a different kind of location. You have a coastline, you have the ocean because of California, and you're not stuck like you are in Atlanta. And a lot of people probably had that same idea to get out on the water. This lends itself to some crazy stuff going on with people, like piracy, boats attacking other boats. You've got gangbanger types, and you have people that have been smuggling in weapons through the coastline, and all that kind of crazy shiznit that can come up in this show. And it would be phenomenal. Like, you can have these fights, and then you can see what people can utilize the dead as weapons on other ships, and all kinds of crazy stuff. We've never had that before, and I can almost guarantee you the Flight 457, the tie-in, this is how they're going to meet their new character, probably because that plane's going to crash in the water. And that's how they find them. But it's going to be fascinating to see, because we've never had a zombie kind of a vehicle like this where they're out on the water, and where they can really have fun with that, and the like battles that can happen on ships between people, like with no law of the land, just crazy. So I was very happy with Fear the Walking Dead, and I thought the finale and this whole setup is great. We have now gotten into the meat of this, and with these characters like Strand, who no doubt has like some kind of crazy sort of, you don't know what he does for a living, or what he's where he's gotten his money from, but he's got a lot of money, and I'm guessing it's some illegal activities, just because of the cold way he played the military guys, taking his stuff back while the guy was being eaten, and the fact that he knew that Chris was the sort that would be of use to him as a junkie. So, Fear the Walking Dead, good job. I hope people give it a chance for the second season. I don't think it's going to be canceled. We already know it's being done for a second season. I just hope people realize just the cool factor of it. The second season finale that happened was The Strain.
Next Sunday.
We will get the lumen, or we die trying.
Don't miss the thrilling season finale. I fear no one. Nor do I. The Strain, next Sunday at 10 on FX and FX.
I've heard a lot of people bashing this show recently, and I'm not sure why. I think this second season is possibly even better than the first. They're at least equal. I think it might actually be better. Not the least of which is because of the addition of Quinlan, who is an amazing character, and Rupert Penry Jones is phenomenal. The flashbacks that we've gotten this season were great, beautifully done, great actors, great younger versions of the actors in it. This episode changed the game, though, when it comes to this show, because it is now no longer following the books at all. They had hinted that they were going to make changes, but in this finale, they made a major change with the killing of Nora. Nora Martinez lives in the books. She's a major character in the books. She lives through the books. She lives through the vampire apocalypse, the whole thing. She and Fett actually end up having kids and getting married, and after all the things go down. So now who knows what's going to happen. The fact that they've killed a major character like that off in the second season, making such a major change from the novels, means anything's possible now. No one is safe. That includes Fett, which is very sad for me because I really like him. But this episode, it wasn't just the good guys that lost, the bad guys lost too. And in a great scene, Palmer finds out that you can't really stand up to the master. As we know, he brought Coco back. That name, Coco, I can't do it. But he brought Coco back using the white, utilizing the master. He made a power play there. And so that power play kind of got him thinking that he could be even more of a power player. And that caused them to actually lose the lumen to Satrakian. So Satrakian has the Oxida lumen now. But because of that loss, Eichhorst and the master were not very pleased with Mr. Palmer and his girlfriend, to the fact that the master kills Coco. drains her dry, which, yay, I kind of didn't like her character anyway, because, yeah, you're just not interesting. And you have a name called Coco. No. So, Palmer, of course, very sad about this, and in the end ends up cutting her heart out, just as Satrakian did with his wife. So, kind of a circle of heart cutting there. But the loss of Nora was really hard, especially on F, because they were coming back to being together again, and it was just so unexpected. If you've read the books, you do not expect this, and it's a beautifully done scene. And Nora goes out like a champ. She's trying to keep Zach safe from his mother. And Kelly shows up, and she's fighting her, like sword fighting her, man. It's great. But in the end, Kelly gets her and infects her. And Kelly takes off with Zach, who she doesn't infect. She just hugs him. It's kind of a sadly creepy scene. But F, of course, finds Nora, and Nora is crawling with worms, because Kelly held on for a really good long time with her tongue thing, whatever you want to call that. And she tells F, it's done, because he's begging her, in the face of this loss, he's begging her to not leave him, and she knows it's already done. And she just goes out, man. She takes her sword and puts it on that third rail of a subway and electrocutes herself. So it's a really heart-wrenching scene. And now Nora's gone, and it's open season on whoever now with this show, which is kind of amazing. So yeah, The Strain season 2, I absolutely loved it, and I'm not sure the hate is coming from for this show. It's really, really good, well done, well executed, beautifully shot series, and can't wait for season 3 to see where they go with this, because I sure as heck thought that they were going to do Fett and Nora together, just like the books, but now who knows. So the third finale that happened, and I thought this show had ended the second season a couple episodes ago, but I was wrong, was Rick and Morty.
On the season finale of Rick and Morty.
Rick Sanchez, you psycho bag of squanch!
Hey, what's up, Squanchy?
On squanch, hey!
Your language has the word squanch in it a lot. Doesn't that become tedious and worn out like the Smurf thing?
Beth, Squanchy culture is more contextual than literal.
I squant my family.
Rick and Morty, next Sunday at 11:30 p.m.
I do. I squanch my family.
Stop saying it, gross!
Only on Adult Swim.
Rick and Morty for season 2 has been probably one of the best shows on TV. Believe it or not, this insane cartoon has more emotional punch this season than most of the shows on TV right now. And this finale that they did was probably one of the most gut-wrenching ones that I've seen. It's called The Wedding Squanchers. And what happens is Bird Person, Rick's best friend, is getting married to his girlfriend, and they're mating, or whatever you want to call it. And so they end up going to Rick being pulled very, very against his will to the wedding. And it turns out that his would-be bride, Bird Person's would-be bride, is actually a Galactic Federation agent and ends up killing, deep cover, and her parents are actually, they're actually cyborg murder bot looking things. And the entire wedding party goes to hell in a handbasket. People are getting shot. Bird Person is murdered. Rick sees Bird Person being killed, and the Galactic Federation is after Rick and Bird Person because of their crimes against them, because they fight the Federation. And eventually what happens is the entire family goes on the run trying to find a planet that they can live on, and Rick is telling them, see, this is why I don't like weddings. And it's really sad because Bird Person, that name, Bird Person was Rick's friend, and he's dead. And Rick is having to deal with that. And while on the run, he discovers just how much of a real dick he's been to his family, because Jerry is really ready to turn him in to whatever fate Rick has in store. And no one else wants to do it, even though Rick is an asshole. We still love Rick, but he is an asshole, and his family knows this. But because of it, their family, even if they're a big jerk, you still love them. And it's sad because his daughter, Beth, loves her dad, and he's back in her life, and that's one thing she doesn't want to lose. So it's a really heart-wrenching, believe it or not, this is Rick and Morty, the cartoon, with a character called Mr. Poopy Butthole, has something like this going on in it. And Rick is hearing all of this, and after hearing all of this and hearing how his family is willing to go through all of this hell because they love him, he turns himself in, and does so in a way that allows his family to go back to a now Federation-controlled Earth. But Rick's in jail, in a prison at the end of this, and Jerry and his family go back to Earth, and Jerry gets a job and is put on mood enhancers, and Rick is left hanging, literally, in a jail. And that's the end of the season. So, in a season where we've had Rick dealing with the fact that he has a codependent relationship with a hive mind entity alien that was not healthy, you've had just lots of things these characters have gone through. At the end of this season, you have Rick sacrifice himself for his family, basically. And it's really, really sad and a punch to your throat. So, out of the 3 finales that I watched this weekend, Rick and Morty wins. Because it's it's one of those things, it's like with Futurama, you have this cartoon that's always so funny and crazy and goofy, but in the middle of it, you have a really deep emotional tie to the characters. And when they pull stuff like this, where you have a scene like that, where you watch this character hear a very serious and true to life kind of a thing happen in regards to a family telling another family member, look, we're not going to give up on this person, we love them, their family, we're not giving up, even, it just really hits you. And this season, Rick and Morty has just been doing a lot of this. Like, this whole season has been so dark, or maybe realistic is a better word, not dark. But I was amazed by how much this one got me. So, and as Mr. Poopy Butthole, speaking of, says, it may be another 18 months or a year before we find out what happens with this, but I'm really stoked to see how Rick and Morty can top season 2 with the season 3, with how well this season played out. Every episode, except for maybe one, was strong and awesome. So Rick and Morty season 2 finale, The Wedding Squanchers, wins out of the 3 finales that I watched this weekend. So I will be back. If I'm not eaten by gnats. I will be back next week with some more video reviews for you. And keep watching. And I hope you enjoyed this one. I'm kind of biased because I like crotchety old guys. But I loved Rick and Morty. But crotchety old guys attract you. It's not bad. But yeah, so we will see you soon with more video reviews. Bye.